Hello again, I'm John Brennan for the Commonwealth Bank Cup. And I think Patrician Brothers Fairfield, to start with, has won almost every major title in high school football. For instance, in 1975, they won what was then the Amco Shield for the first time, came back in 78 and won it once more, but they returned to Leichhardt tonight in an attempt to win the Commonwealth Bank Cup and add it to its great lineup of trophies. Fairfield, I think you might agree with me, has always been competitively hardened and I think technically proven. For under the coaching of Kevin Burke, who's been with them some 17 years now, they've had two very big cup wins this year, or two big wins really. One against St Gregory's College, Campbelltown, and the other against Benedict College, Auburn. And I think you might agree with me after seeing them on television, or certainly Auburn, two of the most eminent of cup hopes for 1980 that we've seen up until this stage, because there are dozens of other sides we have to see yet on the Network 10 television. However, from South Campbelltown comes Airds High, and for our interstate viewers, Campbelltown is about 35 miles from the Sydney GPO, and Airds is one of the newer suburbs within the Campbelltown environment. It was only built in 1974, but it boasts, let me tell you, some outstanding footballers, and their coach Graham Steele tells me that they play sweet football, and they're here tonight to show you that they are the better side. So let's welcome them, and let's also take the opportunity of welcoming the Australian coaching director of Rugby League, Peter Corcoran. Peter, a warm welcome to you.
Good evening, John. I'm very pleased to be here.
And I know that your observations will be more than interesting throughout tonight's commentary.
I'll be looking forward to tonight's commentary, John, because Fairfield has always been a very good team. I've seen them, I've coached them, I've been with them quite a lot. This is a newer combination to the ones that did so well in the old, or what was then the Amco Shield, but it's still a very, very good combination. And the fact that, as you said earlier, they beat Benedict College, I think it was 22-3 just recently, at the end of last term, speaks volumes for the fact that this group is becoming a really professional sort of a football team.
Peter Corcoran with other, of course, comments throughout tonight's commentary. Well, there are two sides down there that hope that Leichhardt Oval is going to be a very happy hunting ground for them tonight. They're ready to get going, so let's have a look at the sides for you. First of all, we'll deal with Airds High, and at fullback is Roy McDonald. The wingers are Jim Bateman and Glenn Mason. Centres, Sean Kendall and Robert Thompson. 5'8" Michael Gray. The half, Pat Vidal. Lock is Clay St Chisholm. The second row is Evan Kotsu and Cliff Watt. The props, David Purser and Ricky Gamble, and the hooker is Craig White. For Patrician Brothers Fairfield, at fullback is Vince Ferraro. Wingers are Vince Olowski and David Stanny. Centres are Mark Garnon and Sean Lamberton. 5'8" is Ivan Green. Halfback is Paul Langmack. The lock forward is Bill Gilbert. The second row is Peter Forbett and George Roberts. Props are Rodney Osborne and Gary Picken, and the hooker is Peter Edwards. That's how they look for tonight, and after this, we'll be underway after this break on Network 10. Right, Airds High, been waiting for this TV outing for a couple of years, and they're ready to bubble at Leichhardt, running in the white jumpers with the green bands. And Fairfield ready to trigger off their challenge in their customary double blue outfit. The referee awarded this match is Mr. Kay Davis. And let me tell you that Ken Davis, newly graded this year, the first referee to be graded from the University Cup competition. And getting first sniff of the ball, Patrician Brothers Fairfield running right to left of your screen. Peter, have you noticed a marked improvement in the standard of coaching at school level since the advent of this competition?
I've noticed a tremendous amount, John, for the simple reason that this particular competition has enthused schools no end. They've taken a great deal of pride in their top school teams' ability and performance, and I think that it's done a great deal for the spirit of the schools, and being on show, of course, here on television and being constantly in the public's eye. Obviously, they're going to do very, very well, and they're going to be even more and more proud of their performance and perform even better as the years go by.
Peter Corcoran, Australian Director of Coaching, our co-commentator tonight. We're now midway between the quarter and halfway in Airds High School territory. will have the first scrum of the evening. Referee Davis having a few words with the respective packs. The game has only gone 1 minute for those of you just joining our telecast, and the score is 0-all. Fairfield, after a dual success this year of winning the MCS and the Commonwealth Bank Cup. A pretty daunting task for them. College fielding its youngest and most inexperienced side in many and many a year. Tell you more about that later, as young Vidal, watch him tonight from Airds High, feeds the scrum, but a penalty against Langmark. And the penalty goes to Airds High. They receive that with a great amount of glee, and they take the free in centre field. And it was got out to Cliff Watt, running onto the ball about 10 metres short of his own side of halfway. At dummy half is Craig White. He is the skipper, wearing jumper number 12. He's there at dummy half again, and I want to tell you he's going to be the release channel for most of their plays tonight. Watch him closely as they go that left side onto the ball. Ricky Gamble, but this defence, particularly from Osborne from Patrician Brothers Fairfield, is good. This is White looking on the inside, sneaks a little one around the corner, and picked up well by David Purser. He's the other prop for Airds High. White relaying it back and trying to almost burrow his way through is Shane Kendall. Or should I say, and I will, Ricky Gamble. Linesman in to have a couple of words with referee Davis, saying that the college was fielding its youngest side. But Peter Corcoran, a couple of words to say there, I know.
I think, John, if viewers pay special attention to Patrician Brothers Fairfield, they'll see a really good exhibition of fast-moving defence. One of the biggest things in rugby league is to maintain good position on that football field, and you can do this with and without the ball. And Fairfield, as soon as that ball hits the ground, are coming up in that straight line. They're getting to what we call the advantage line. They're maintaining good position even without possession. And I think that if they can do this, then they're always going to remain within striking distance for tries.
Well, that's Langmark. I might mention only 14, a famous name added to Fairfield's firepower tonight. More about him later, as their lock forward Bill Gilbert, number 8, took the ball up, turned it on over to Airds High, and it's the young Vidal, the half, playing it for Airds High. There's the pass from White, and picking it up was Purser. White again, a dummy half you're seeing there right throughout the match. Good game from Kotsu, a last-minute replacement, second rower wearing jumper number 9. There's the cutout on Gamble, but picked up again by Purser, taking it forward about 2 metres. Airds High with it on their own side of halfway, going to weaken out now to Gray, going for the break. Around him though, Sean Lamerton, and 8 metres short of their own side of halfway. The Whites in possession from Airds High. Putting it up, there's the first high ball. It's a clearance ball and a little long, and Ferraro was there ready to take it, exposed, but took it nicely. The chase is through. Kendall was there, who was the skill captain for Airds High, but he did it well, Ferraro. But Fairfield, here he is, hiking almost up to halfway. Good run, Vincelowski, and an excellent run. Some 35 metres gained by Vincelowski. Fairfield spraying the ball out now. Moving into 5'8" tonight is Lamerton, and Ivan Green, wearing jumper number 6, you'll see playing in the centre. And dummy half is Picken. Deciding to take it up through the centre is Langmark. And they're only a matter of 24 metres out from Airds High's goal line. From Lamerton to Edwards. An outstanding young prospect, I believe, the young hooker. Out to the right, Langmark again. Giving it up and picked up well by Garner. And it's Osborne taking play up just outside the goal mouth and about 10 metres out from Airds' goal line.
What a good recovery, John. That kick from Airds High went down, right down to the 22. Ferraro, I thought, did a silly thing in letting it bounce. He was there, he was under the ball, he should have recovered it. But the winger came right down next to the touchline, straight skirted the touchline, came along, made right up to well into Airds High territory again, and now with the possession that they've got, Fairfield are really pushing now for this try, and there's no reason why in the very near future they won't get it. If there's one thing I think that they're doing that could stop them from getting a try shortly, is that the supports are perhaps coming a little bit too wide, and the man looking for his support is being forced to throw that pass a little bit too wide, and he's opting to play it safe and hold the ball.
Peter Corcoran, Australian Director of Coaching, with those few words. Some attention rendered to Osborne, Rodney Osborne, the prop for Fairfield, on a scissors here with Ivan Green coming from the left to the right, then straightening up and running into a brick wall of defence, mainly from Craig White from Airds High. This is Langmark going for a split, again into a cluster of players. Having it now is George Roberts, out a little wide. Edwards a dummy half, keeping it to the right. It's Langmark, serves up a nice one, he's there. Nice try, orthodox try, simply and nicely executed from Patrician Brothers Fairfield. Simple pass from Edwards out to Langmark to Garner, and over he went. There it is now on replay. They lead 3-0, Peter Corcoran.
It was a simple try, John. It was a very good play of the ball. The ball went quickly to the side, away they went. I couldn't get over the fact, though, that the defenders from Airds High are standing so wide. They made no real attempt then to come in tight and, if possible, to force the man even wider. So they were forcing him towards the touchline, and they could have conceivably pushed him out. But they stood wide. He came through a nice pass, the first man off the ruck, and the gap was there. It was as wide as anything, and he just went straight through and put the ball down for a beautiful try.
Well, now there's the shot of the attempt at conversion, and this is a very wide angle, only about 8 metres in from touch. And the score after only 7 minutes of play, Patrician Brothers Fairfield leading Airds High by 3 points to 0. Here he comes. There's the shot, but it's a little bit of a sleepy ball. It's a little wide too, and it fell short. Flagged away. The score remains Patrician Brothers Fairfield 3, Airds High 0. The Buttercup Little League coaching clinics, which Peter was very closely associated, and they were conducted last week, were a great success. And the clinic at Parramatta Park last Friday was recorded, and I want to tell you will form the basis of weekly TV segments on the various skills being telecast through Channel 10 and commencing in a few weeks' time. And on behalf of everybody involved in rugby league, I'd like to extend our thanks to the Daily Mirror, which always shows great initiative. Buttercup Bakeries, who jumped in on this one, and their support was most appreciative. And Channel 10, of course, always the leader in innovations, for helping to make the clinic so enjoyable and so instructive for the kids of Sydney, with a smashing run right up, parading up this left flank from George Roberts. Great run, Fairfield. Here it is being swung now from Edwards through Langmark. Out to Garner, trapped. Nice tight marking, and like a good winger should, Glenn Maisel coming in from the left flank and trapping him.
What beautifully basic football, John. It's a delight to watch them play this. I was terribly disappointed with Airds High, though, down here on Fairfield's 22. Their defence literally stood still on the 2 occasions that Fairfield played the ball, and when Fairfield came through on the second one, because they were standing so still, they had virtually no hope in the world of holding them, and Fairfield poured through to gain a tremendous amount of ground.
Well, it's Airds High with the ball, so let's see whether they can counter-attack, and counter-attack well. Going for a run wide is Ricky Gamble, and they're 10 metres short of their own side of halfway, or pretty close to it, with White giving it out and finding a runner. And that was Purser. Now let's see if they can spread it out wild. Vidal getting it to Gray, but he's well and truly sandwiched. Double trouble from both Garner and Green. 10 metres short still of their own side of halfway. Running onto the ball this time was Cliff Watt. Now some action. Clearing. Let's see if he hands it better this time. Ferraro letting it run, and from his own goal mouth. Wrong foot's Jim Bateman, but collected well and truly by the chaser Robert Thompson. And they've 6 more, says referee Davis. So pinged in their own quarter at the moment. Fairfield trying to run it out, and that was Vince Olowski, and they're up within the 5-2. In fact, 3 of them.
Would you say, John, that the difference really is in the attitudes of the two teams? Fairfield seem to be sparked to fire at every opportunity, where Airds High seem to be lacking that little bit of incentive, that little bit of determination. And I really feel that this is probably where the total edge will be throughout the whole game.
I think you're right, Peter. They have a burning ambition to make it almost, well, they've had the Quinella, they're going for the trifecta of the Amco Shield twice, and they're quite determined they're going to win the Commonwealth Bank Cup with a beautiful split by Bill Gilbert, notoriously tight in defence, but I'll tell you what, he's an excellent attacker as well. Running onto the ball this time is Rodney Osborne. And he made a nice ploughing run. They're keeping it to the right with Lamerton, getting it out to Langmark. A lovely dummy. He's through, giving it to Garner. Garner on the burst. Or is it on the right side, David Stanny? He chopped out Garner that time, and Stanny with the ball. They're 25 metres out. Langmark working with one of his forwards. He's through, and it's Edwards. He's up to the quarter now, and well blocked now by the Aird High. Cliff Watt was in there to do some damage. Langmark with a dummy. Still gets it over his shoulder, ballooning it to Green. Now in possession, George Roberts. He's number 10 for Fairfield. But the defence has been called on, and they haven't flinched so far. Langmark spreading it. Green now with Garner. Garner running around his man, ballooning on it over. Olashi goes for the line. Oh, he's a nice stepper. He's there. Lovely play again. This time from Patrician Brothers Fairfield. And the try matched the skill of the boys who are playing here tonight. They lead 6-0. On again.
John, did you like that nice little change of pace and swerve that Olashi showed there? He pulled up, he changed his pace, the defence was held up, then he swerved wide, went straight in for that corner, and it was a really fine piece. It's coming up now. Here he is. So he comes across, he slows down a little bit here, comes in and out again, and it's a nice piece of work. I really like that. It shows tremendous skill.
No,
a perfect winger's piece of work.
He stood him up well behind that goal mouth too.
It's the thing in defence, John, you were saying there with Airds High being, you know, so good and not cracking. I agree with you there, but their tackling itself is very good. But their concept of defence seems to be a little bit astray. I think, you know, the total concept is forming up quickly, moving up quickly, meeting the man, putting him to the ground. And this is where they're not really performing. Their tackling is good, but their whole defensive operation is really astray at the moment.
Peter Corcoran with those comments, the Australian Director of Coaching, our guest here tonight, Ivan Green from Almost Touch, looking for this one. And hasn't the line, or actually Nelly had the line. It was going to bend in a little, but didn't have the length. So the score remains Fairfield Patrician Brothers 6, leading Airds High 0.
Go City.
Scrum, John, and the scrums at the moment are Fairfield's way with 3 scrums to 2, and the penalties are Airds High way 3-1. So it's fairly even at this stage, and the way things are going, Airds High seem to be losing that little bit of, I suppose, nervousness right at the very beginning. They're starting to settle down a little bit more. They're still tentative in what they do, and if only they could do things with a little bit more pace.
Lamerton getting out to Olashi, and Olashi is away again. He's got a lot of zoots under the hood, this fella. He's wearing jumper number 2. That's him being brought down now. Good cover, nice and thick from Clay St. Chisholm. And it comes back now to Peter Forbett, the second rower for Fairfield. Up around him is Craig White, and trying to scoop it away, as referee Davis says. He's penalised the winger who was the offender that time, Jim Bateman, who's only just 16. And Fairfield receive another penalty. They lead 6 points to 0, playing for the line. Fairfield is Vince Ferraro, a former soccer player, I might mention, number 1, the fullback, and he's been a tower of strength ever since his changeover, I'm to understand. Something being worked by Fairfield onto the ball. Gary Picken. Edwards a dummy half. Straight away to Langmark. Finds a good runner in Picken, but he was only allowed to, or actually Osman, a couple of metres before he came to grief. This is Butler again. Gilbert brought to ground. He's a real operator, this number 8. Now it's Langmark. Ferrara joining the line, or little step through. Is he there in desperation? It's a forward pass. So, but he bounced it.
Knocked the ball on.
Yes, dummied me, as a matter of fact, and I thought he'd given it out to the runner, but
tried hard. Tried hard. Couldn't get his arms free, and of course dropped the ball.
It was a nice. He chimed in well.
It was very good, and that previous blindside movement was even better, John. That was the one that really set that up for the try.
Here goes Langmark, looking for Olashi, who is ever alert, and Gilbert has it, and they keep it on the left side, going for it. Roberts. He's awarded it, yes. He really went in there. Number 10, that's him, the second rower. George Roberts. Will see it again on the 10 network. Peter Corcoran.
The advantage of staying low, John. He went through there. The tacklers were fairly high, and he got down low, and you'll see him now gets right down, and he reaches underneath. Look at this, straight underneath there. Look, sneaky as you possibly can be, isn't it?
Completely enveloped.
lovely. And the tacklers, instead of trying to meet him straight on, wrap him up, hold him up or push him back, tried to just grab, and of course all that grabbing is not tackling, and they've paid the penalty.
He's a likely looking lad too.
Quite strong.
George Roberts, so he brings Fairfield's score to 9. Patrician Brothers Fairfield 9, leading Airds High 0. And Ivan Green with his attempt at the conversion. His line has been quite good, but a couple of his attempts have been reasonably short. Just a couple of lazy balls, and he comes now from a couple of metres inside touch, but he certainly sprayed that one. He's dragged that right away to the right, and that's a shocker, and he wouldn't want to know about that one again. So Fairfield 9 leads Airds High 0.
Has a tendency to jab at the ball when he's kicking, John. He doesn't really approach it smoothly and jabs at it rather than coming through with a nice swinging action with a high follow through. And that one there, when he jabbed at it, I don't think he followed through more than about 6 inches off the ground.
Airds High, as I've mentioned, has only opened in 74. It's the go-ahead area in Sydney for those of you interstate. The old Campbelltown, and this is only the second year that they've had a year 12 at the school. This is a terribly, terribly young side. So you can imagine how they'll be in the early 80s, because they're turning in a fine performance tonight. And in the early 80s, they'll be ready to fly and fire, because they have 10 high schools out there. Airds High is only one of them, and only having a year 12 for the second year. It's good to see them on the Commonwealth Bank Cup. Fairfield working play up outside their quarter. Tackling there and doing some good stuff is Kotsu. Oh, that's a lovely kick.
It's a beautiful kick.
That beautiful thinking from Langmark.
That was a really lovely kick, John. It flew through the air beautifully. It took that bounce well and ran straight along. Must have gained about another 10, 15 yards after it bounced.
Almost a nice leg break, that.
Right.
Paul Langmark is his name, brother of Peter. Played first grade, you remember, with both Parramatta and Penrith. In fact, I can remember on one time he scored 4 tries up there, and for Penrith. And at 14, young Langmark, with Ivan Green stepping and looking for support play. Paul Langmark, wearing jumper number 7, is only 14, I hear, but he plays with a great amount of guile and attack. And no doubt you've seen it already in the first 25 minutes of play. Butler getting it to Langmark again. One around his ankles, the rest trying to bring him down from the top. But now they're spreading it wide. Garner again. Oh, nice little bit of dummy there. Gives it to Aloshi. Took it well from Roberts. Look at that footwork of his again. Roberts backing up as it. Over. And I tell you what, it's number 10 again, Roberts. They lead now by 12 points to 0. What a heartening start, a heartening first half. Watch this ball flow. Peter Corcoran can tell you.
Watch the cover defence coming across, John. Now, look, here he comes. He's beating this defender with a nice pass. Now, there is only one cover defender coming across there. He steps inside in. The cover defender's come too far, hasn't judged the man's pace at all. And away goes that pass. Look at the beautiful pick up there and the tremendous power of the boy just driving himself over and over that line. There was no doubt in the world he was going to score that. You can see determination written all over that, can't you?
Yes, he's quite a player, that number 10. He's turning, and he's a real operator, turning in a nice performance tonight. And that's Roberts, the second rower, George Roberts, for Fairfield. That was a nice take, too, just quietly by Aloski, right on his hip bone. He did well to hold it, but there was support play from Roberts after he had been collected in field, with Green looking for this one. Now he sprayed it again. He's certainly hasn't got his mathematics right tonight. But Kevin Burke will attend to that, because he's maths master up there at Fairfield, and he'll look after that tomorrow. Green, you might give us his statistics.
Yes, he's had 4 attempts, John, and he's been unsuccessful with all of them. It's a pity, really, because he's had a chance now to put 8 more points on the board, and not that Fairfield at the moment really need them, but certainly another 8 points makes that score look terribly impressive, and it would do his confidence the world of good for games to come.
Fairfield Patrician Brothers 12, leading Airds High 0 after the first 25 minutes of play. Next week it'll be between Christian Brothers Manly and Kingsgrave High. That'll be a great match. It's a 3rd round match. And then very shortly after that we're into the group finals. Ghana getting it back to Forbett.
Langmark finding a runner on the inside, and he's 10 metres short of his own side of halfway, and that was Rodney Osborne. And Picken getting it out wide. Ferrara. This is Lamerton.
Look at those supporters for Fairfield, John. There's about 4 on each side.
Yeah. Overlapping here by about 3. That's Peter Edwards, one of the young outstanding prospects from Fairfield. And a tackle count coming up straight away to Lamerton. Got Green on the outside. Through him, the hands of Gilbert Abbott. Now Garner. This will be dangerous. He's looking. Coming back on the inside. Picks up Edwards. Edwards going for it. Nice run. But well, I thought Garner would have been... He looked as though he could take Jim Bateman, pull him on the inside and then give it out to Stanny.
I thought he would have straightened it up and held that winger inside and then given it to him and let him go for that corner. And, of course, he's turned it back inside and then they're trying to keep the ball alive there. They've dropped it and then the man offside picked up the ball and they've given away a penalty. So it's Airds high now with a chance to gain quite a lot of ground.
And they're running with a great amount of determination too. That was young Michael Gray. They're 5'8". They're still keeping it to the right, although White decides to switch it back inside, and he finds Gamble. Again, White. Long pass. Vidal takes it at his top. Oh, don't let this fellow run. And they didn't either. Right around his legs.
He is good, isn't he?
My word. It was Edwards.
And he runs at that line and hits it with tremendous pace. He's not prepared to give them an inch, Fairfield, and if they ease up for a moment, he'll be through.
Pat Vidal, only 15. Clearing nicely too. Ferrara has to run for it, but it's going to beat him.
Lovely kick.
Lovely kick. Play St. Chisholm. The young lock forward. Strong attacking lock.
The line kicks from both sides, John. They've been almost first-grade standard, haven't they?
They have indeed,
beautiful.
Peter.
They've hit that ground, plenty of topspin. The way the ball's gone, gained a lot of ground.
As you've just joined us, Peter Corcoran is our co-commentator tonight, Australian Director of Coaching. And we have 2 minutes up our sleeve with Fairfield 12 leading Airds High 0. Airds High from South Campbelltown. It's a Fairfield ball. And Langmark almost finding freedom. And he had trailing him Bill Gilbert doing a nice tracking study. Right at his heels he was snapping, waiting for that ball, and that was a lovely run around on the double. And he got the pass nicely from Langmark and gets up smartly to play the ball. And that was young David Stanny, who came in from the right flank. But it's Fairfield looking dangerous again with Aloshi, finding speed. Ivan Green, just it out there. Garner was together with him side by side, and it went straight into the arms of Aird High. And since then, Cliff Watt has taken it for Aird High, and in there doing some busy work for them is Rodney Osborne.
Good wingers play, John, wasn't he? Stayed with his outside man who was playing on the wing, and of course the pass came back and he got the ball. They've now got a chance with their 6 tackles.
Yeah. White hitting in a short one to Purser. Now White again. And clearing to space on the quarter. Ferrari going for a big charge. Out of 2-3. Oh, lovely run. Oh, can this fella, staggering stuff, turn them inside out. And right up over halfway as the halftime hurler shoots out, and Patrician Brothers Fairfield finished the first 30 minutes, and they lead Airds High from South Campbelltown by 12 points to 0.
Network 10. Patrician Brothers Fairfield started so well, and they even got better. And they had certainly a great dream last 15 minutes. And there's a few adjustments to be done with Aird High. Would you agree on that, Peter?
I think so, John, and I think the main thing is to get them to realise that if they want to stand still, there's no way in the world they'll hold a fast-running attack as Fairfield has. They've been terribly reluctant to move up quickly and mark their man extremely well that way.
Peter, let's talk about your good self there for a minute. And as your responsibilities as Australian Director of Coaching, what percentage of your time is devoted at school level, let's say?
Well, I don't know that I could really put a percentage of time on it, John, but I do spend a considerable amount of time with schools and with junior teams, yes. After all, this is where the future stars of rugby league are to be found, and this is where we must have absolutely tremendous coaching. If they haven't got the fundamentals and they haven't got the good grounding that they should, then they'll never really develop into the stars that we expect them to be. And so I'd spend a lot of time talking to school groups, advising teams, advising coaches, actually coaching teams, attending coaching clinics. All of this sort of thing would be the sort of thing I'd be looking at and doing with the juniors in schools.
Right, well now, let's say, what are the major mistakes that are being made in the techniques of coaching schoolfellas these days?
Well, I suppose that if you want to go right down to the younger boys, you'd have to look at two things. First of all, you'd have to look at the dilemma that some people seem to put themselves in when they can't quite come to grips with the winning of a football game and the actual teaching of skills. And I think that if they can realise that if they do the teaching of skills extremely well, the winning will take care of itself, they'd be a lot more satisfied with what they do. And I think also, too, that we do find that there are a lot of coaches who, when they find they have one or two boys that are extremely good, they tend to spend a little bit too much time with them to the detriment of the other player. And when you consider that no two boys really develop and grow correspondingly, and some boys that are 12 now and not really up to the tasks that they have to perform, and yet in 6 years' time they are extremely good, it's a pity to see them not getting the tuition that they should get.
And Peter, very, very shortly, what, if you had any advice to give, what major area of advice would it be? In what particular area?
Well, I think if I was to say one thing, it would be to look at what we call the 3 Ps in rugby league: possession, position and pace. So in other words, when you've got possession, maximise its use. When you've got a situation where you can only score tries by being close to their goal line, then you must maintain good position. And if you can do everything, both in attack and defence, at great pace, then obviously you're going to be successful.
Peter Corcoran, Australian Director of Coaching, with some marvellous stuff. Thanks so much indeed, Pete. That was really beautiful. Well, repeating the half-time score, Patrician Brothers Fairfield leading Airds High from South Campbelltown by 12 points to 0. They're at Oranges at the moment. We'll be back after this break with the resumption of this Commonwealth Bank Cup match.
Back at Leichhardt for the second half, and Patrician Brothers Fairfield had slightly the better of things in the first 30 minutes. They're kicking off in the second half. That was Ferraro, their fullback. In doing just that, they're running left to right of your screen in the double blue, and Airds High ready to counter. They've had a fair bit of work to do, or they will have a fair bit of work to do, as they're trapped within their own quarter. Fairfield, if you've just joined us in this third round match of the Commonwealth Bank Cup, are leading Airds High 12 points to 0. Airds High at South Campbelltown. The Fairfield side contains 13 new caps. Gone are the Michael Duncans and Peter Websters and Joe Muirs. Kevin Burke, as in years past, has had to completely rebuild, but knowing his capabilities, as you've seen in the first half, this side has emerged with a great amount of credit. We have a penalty against Aird High collapsing, having a few words with Craig White at the moment, and this penalty will be taken by Ivan Green.
Scrums at the moment, John, favour Airds High. Sorry, they favour Fairfield by 7 scrums to 2, and the penalties favour Airds High 4 to 3 now, with the penalty just given then to Fairfield.
Peter Corcoran, who is our co-commentator tonight and Australia Director of Coaching. Airds High manager Ashley Unger told me that this side is only to keep progressing at their present rate because they're terribly young, and he'd be happy to have them against any opposition out there in the very foreseeable future. It's a terribly young and inexperienced side, but all hard workers, and as you can see, their strength lies in the pack and also out in the backs as well. Peter.
I think so, John. I think that they've got a good future ahead of them. They are young. They've got many years in rugby league and many years together, and I think they'll go well.
That's Shane Kendall, the school captain, wearing jumper number 3, who played the ball. Good stiff defence up there straight away from Lamerton and Peter Edwards from Fairfield. A ploughing run up to just short of the quarter for Aird High. Coming this left side. Good stiff defence again from Osborne and Forbett. This is Vidal. White got a good pass away, but again, they've not held onto the ball for 6. And the offender that time was Clay St. Chisholm. Turning it over. Langmark. And taking a very short one, ran very close to him, shoulder to shoulder, George Roberts. Scored 2 tries. On the right side, Edwards. On his outside was Peter Forbett.
Better defence, John. There were quite a few defenders there when Fairfield came down that blind side.
He's nice and thick. There's Lamerton with Green. Oh, made the extra man. Garner slings it over again. Aloshi's end. Oh, beautiful tackle.
Beautiful tackle.
Oh, honed in on him. Magnificent stuff.
Right round the ankles, John.
Oh,
Took him
yeah.
down beautifully. Gave him no chance at all to get that ball away.
Was that Roy McDonald, their fullback, that came at him that time?
Right.
Here's Garner. On the inside, finds support. Oh, streams on through.
Too many there, John.
So you can have a look at this replay of that try from Patrician Brothers Fairfield that takes them up 15-0. Peter Corcoran.
Look at this pass. It's come across now, and the defence is there waiting for him. That was a good tackle, but look, passed back inside, and look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men, and only 2 defenders with a third one coming across. If it hadn't have been that particular try scored inside, it would have been a certain try scored a little bit further out.
Rodney Osborne, their prop forward, the try scorer, and bringing the total to 15 points to 0 so far as Patrician Brothers Fairfield are concerned. Very chirpy in their work, and as they were in the first half, the bit right between the teeth.
Making it really a team game, aren't they, John? Whenever you see 1, you see 6. It's a marvellous sort of a display of team football. There's a tremendous amount of support one for the other, and they're not letting one man get away without being given every opportunity to capitalise on any good work he does.
Whilst Peter Corcoran was discussing that, Ivan Green made a meal of that one, and that was his first one over from 6 attempts.
It's good to see him break the duck.
That'll give him the confidence now. So Airds High with a huge deficit. Patrician Brothers Fairfield leading them by 17 points to 0. They've kicked her off, and that's Forbett.
At that time, John, they moved up well, and look, they're down on the 22 already, Airds High. As I was saying before, get up quickly.
Gary Picken for a short run from Fairfield. They run so hard, and their entry on the ball is so good, Peter.
So very good. But Airds High, full marks to them so far. They've come on very much stronger this half in their defence. They're moving up, and this is what I like to see, up quickly.
Yes, flatly refusing to buckle under this wave upon wave of attack from Fairfield. As again they spray the ball, and it's Green who goes in backwards and takes the tackle of Michael Gray. So they keep it on the left side. Osborne with a big run on the left. Forbett was waiting for it. Gets it away. Langmark looking for support play. He's got it too in Roberts. Forever there. And he's having a marathon game. He's going all night. That's number 10.
Isn't that funny, John? On 4 tackles, they gained only something like 20 metres. On the last 2, they gained about 35 to 40. Just because Airds High eased up that little bit.
Yes. Beforehand, we saw some tigerish and very eager defence from Aird High. And feet across. He's having a few words with Craig White now.
It's got to be sustained, hasn't it, John? If you're going to have a good defence, it's not much good just defending 2 or 3 times every now and again. It's got to be there for 6 tackles, every 6 tackles.
So right, Peter. So here's something being worked with Lamerton on the doubling up, coming through on the flat. A little bit of a decoy there, but it was Roberts again very much involved. Now Picken ploughing up to the quarter. Now 17 is on, and that is Edge Morelli. So he'll go into the second row. Edwards, who split them, looking for support. Oh, picked up beautifully too. Beautiful pickup then from Gilbert. They're locked forward, and it's Edwards ever present, holding him up. And that's referee Davis's decision.
It was a funny sort of a thing then, John. He had every opportunity to score, but evidently the Airds High boys just plucked that ball out of his hand and taken it away from him at the last moment.
So play recommences on Aird High's quarter, and Craig White to do the honour. Striking for Fairfield was Gary Picken with that tackle. This could have possibilities, but as you saw exactly how it came about. Again, some ragged ball from Aird High. Again, given up, this time to Aloshi.
Watch the defender, John. Didn't watch the ball at all.
Doubling again and fooling them. Ferraro chiming in and making a nice midfield thrust. 6 more too, says referee Davis. And that's Gilbert, a dummy half with Langmark, shooting out a boomer of a pass out wide. Picken picking it up. But look at the cover, nice and thick and very heavy. And they came back and brought him down on the quarter. They lead by 17 points to 0, Fairfield, as they sling this ball. Lamerton at 5'8". Over the top was St Chisholm. Firing it now. Holding up nicely, Green. They're not sprinting up in defence as they were, and Fairfield have a lot more room in which to move. Edwards dumbing on the inside and taking it straight. And last tackle coming up.
We were commending them, John, how well they'd started the half, but they are easing back into that old rut, aren't they?
Yes, Osmond's shooting it out to Lamerton. Nice pass, Green, fast hands. Ferraro gets it up. Lovely try. Oh, that was beautiful. That was Peter Forbett who went on over, but turning the knife after that. Watch it back on replay. Peter Corcoran.
John was saying before, what a team game they're playing. Look at this now. Just look at the number of supports here. 1 man only and 4 men facing him. What can he do? What can he do? And it's a beautiful try to Fairfield.
And
I didn't like that, John. I didn't like the way he put that down. I hate players putting that ball down one-handedly like that. He could have lost it at the last minute.
Sound words from Peter Corcoran, and they were overlapping over there with Picken to spare as well, along with Aloshi, but they certainly turned the knife in after that. I can tell you the Fairfield fans are as high as the sky. Super stuff.
John, Airds High has made 2 changes. Number 16, Greg Haddon, is on now, and number 17, Stephen Robinson, is on. So 2 changes in the Airds High lineup.
Right, number 16 is Greg Hatton. Right. This will be a difficult one for him, and it's, again, a lazy ball and certainly off target. So the score remains 20 points to 0. Patrician Brothers Fairfield have run in 6 tries, and 1 of them has been converted by Ivan Green. Fairfield. They've had some eye-catching results over recent times. They've had 2 wins in the MCS comp in downing St Greg's 18-6 and putting down Benedict College Auburn 22-3. And from the Commonwealth Bank Cup, they had a forfeit from Bonnie Rigg, then turned their attack on Cronulla de La Salle, where they ran out winners 16-8. So they front up tonight with a very good chance and a very good run from Aloshi that you saw brought to an abrupt end with a good tackle from David Persat, who I might mention as a fine front-on tackler.
Look at them lining themselves up, John. They're talking all the time. They're making sure that as soon as one thing's on, they're ready for the next.
Edwards standing out in between his centres of Green and Garner. Now on the right is Green, who takes that pass from Langmark. Garner at dummy half. Through Langmark's hands, Lamerton has it, close to him, doing a lot of work as Picken. 2 props are having a good game, that Osborne and Picken.
Very good game, John. They're playing tight in the defensive line and also attacking very well. Taking that ball up beautifully.
Stanley came from this right wing over there on the left. Look at this beautiful super stuff, keeping the ball alive. It went through so many pairs of hands in for his second try. What can you say about that except stand back and admire?
That's exactly what you must do, John. That's
23
lovely.
points to 0, Peter Corcoran.
This, we're on the 10-yard line. They're virtually just inside Airds High half. Here we go. The ball is being given out beautifully.
Garner, he's got support on the left.
Yes.
Look at this support play. Langmark. Now it comes back to Lamerton. Lamerton looking for support, and he'll find it here in Forbett, is it? And no, Stanny. Stanny it is, and Stanny's the try scorer.
Do you notice, John, how when they run Fairfield, they run with that ball in both arms, both hands, I should say. They are forever making it available to the next guy, so that when the defender comes close, they've only got to drop that shoulder, turn that hip, you know, move a little bit to the side, and the ball's automatically available, and the pass is coming across so nicely in front of the support that there's virtually no hesitation whatsoever. It's really fine stuff.
Peter Corcoran Australian Director of Coaching, and his comments then on after that superb try. Oh, what can you say about it? You gotta love it. I tell you what, they've run in 7 tries, they've converted 1, so they're not blessed with great goal kicking tonight, I want to tell you. The mathematics are way off target, but you were mentioning...
Green could be their Irish Jack, John.
Eh?
Green could be their Irish Jack for the night.
Peter, you were mentioning of how they run and holding the ball in both hands. What great influence this Kevin Burke has had on these Fairfield sides over a period of 17 years.
Kevin's been there for a long while, and Kevin's a quietly determined man. He's a man that gains the respect of the players, and he's done extremely well.
Well, we have number 12 off, who is Edwards, and we have Forbett off. So we have 2 new players on for Fairfield, and I'll catch them for you in just a moment. Peter Edwards, he organised so much of their play around the rucks. He read the game so well, and more than a handful for the opposition as well. So 17 is on, who is Cameron Monley. Number 16 is on, Brian Burford.
Looks like Kevin might be looking for some, you know, experience for these younger people coming on, John.
Yes, here goes 16, that's Burford. Running wide of the ruck. Coming onto the ball then was Osborne. Another leg break. Otherwise it would have been a perfect line kick to space behind, and it had them retreating. But Aird high have it. And that's Roy McDonald coming almost up to halfway, meeting the tackle of Bill Gilbert. Craig White. Good starchy stuff from Green and Roberts there in their defence. Running across field was David Burser. He took both tackles that time. Little disorganised Aird high at the moment. And why wouldn't you be with this thumping defence coming up, aren't you? Right on halfway. There's the little float over the top. This has possibilities, but not... Yes, for Aird high. I was going to say not for Aird high because Green had it in his arms, but the opposition touched it and back in possession so far as Aird high is concerned, and they come the left side. Running with a great amount of determination, but right into the awaiting arms of Picken, but just outside Fairfield's quarter. Aird high now. They're down 23-0 inside. Ooh, tell you what. It's like a reed in the wind. He doubled up that time with a nice biffing tackle there. When I say biffing, I mean a legal, hard tackle that bent him. And it came from both Picken and Cameron Monley. There's the high one. Garner is there, takes it nicely. And the chaser was Kendall, who put him to ground. Fairfield running it out. Little step, Green. Normally at 5/8, playing centre tonight. Nice shimmering run. Just short of his quarter. Garner shooting out a quick one. That was Ferrara playing it. Almost through. This is Green attacking again for Fairfield. Slinging it back to Gilbert. Still gets rid of the ball. Roberts through the arms of him. Monley with it. Burford. And a lovely run by Picken. Geez, done some damage, this big prop tonight.
It's a lovely tackle too, John.
From dummy half they go again. And St Chisholm there with the end of 6.
Airds High have still done well, John. They're not giving up at all. They're facing a tremendous total in front of them there, but they're still playing quite well. And Craig White, their captain, then showed on 2 occasions how that little kick can defeat that straight line that's moving up quickly. And also their work on the blind side was good at one stage there. They came on strongly. They hit that line with real force, and it's a pity they're not doing it all night.
Well, now we have another replacement on for Airds High, Stephen Davis, who's wearing jumper number 14. And for Patrician Brothers Fairfield, using up their entire bench of substitutes. Number 14 is Sean Roach and number 15, Gary Mumford. And I might mention that Ivan Green, who has been a real star maker and playmaker tonight, is off the field. So number 15 goes in, Gary Mumford into the centre, whilst Airds High try and work it out from their quarter. Over the years of this competition, one of the most gratifying aspects has been the receipt of letters of appreciation to National, and more lately to electronic sales and rentals from the schools regarding the equipment that they've won in reaching the final. Now this year, National, Panasonic and electronic sales and rentals are again making available over $6,000 worth of sound and or TV equipment for the two schools reaching the August 20 Cup final. Now I dips me lid to them because they're tremendous organisations. National Panasonic not only looks good, but sounds good, and the colour turns you on completely. And when you're thinking of purchasing it or renting it, make sure it's electronic sales and rentals. You know, whether it's a colour TV or video recording, think electronic sales and rentals. They're open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. and that'll broaden your TV horizon. So great incentives from National, Panasonic and electronic sales and rentals.
Taking a little bit of a spell at the moment, John. Seems to be, you know, the pace seems to have died quite considerably.
Well, it's Patrician Brothers Fairfield 23, leading Airds High 0. Second half without being unkind to Airds High, but they look sharp. They are hungry for points, and they just hate not scoring, Fairfield. So here it is again with Lamerton. And Mumford on his right and moving very smartly into dummy half. And he gets it now and moves away just 2 metres before he's brought immediately to ground by Craig White. Gilbert from dummy half of Fairfield. And like a good winger, Glenn Mason coming in to chop him off.
Well, the scrum situation's changed dramatically, John. Fairfield now have had a massive 10-3 lead. It's a lot of ball, John.
I heard. Mumford, who went through a gap there. Ferraro now, a nimble-footed boy. All Quicksilver, look at that. Out of 1-2, throws it anywhere. He expects support to be there. It is. But it was turned over and a knocked on but the scrum will go down some 10 metres out from Airds' goal line. But it's sort of like the Ella style play. Throw the ball anywhere, but you know someone's going to be there to back up to collect it.
Marvellous when it comes off, isn't it?
Magical.
Looking at that scrum win again, John, 10-3, you know, that's a difference of 7, and that's an extra 42 tackles that they've had to work that ball.
The mathematical mind of Peter Corcoran, Australian Director of Coaching, with those comments. Lamerton stepping. Now he's only 9 metres out from the goal line. Now they're going that left and finding Roberts again, smashing his way through with sheer determination. Every phase of forward play. Pounds away, mows them down, gets the ball, runs, he's into the play again. And Fairfield just pounding this line at the moment. Going himself over. Gary Picken. And a try to Fairfield. They lead by 26 points to 0. Peter Corcoran.
Very soft try, wasn't it, John?
Yes.
You look at this now. Look at the defence. Look, there's a man up. There's 2 men right out in front. They're all 6s and 4s there. It's a terribly staggered defence, and there's no way in the world that a team with that type of defence could possibly keep a fast and determined runner out, John.
Well, that was the try scorer, Gary Picken. And I mentioned a little earlier that it was sheer courage from Aird High that had refused to buckle, and they were plugging the gaps for quite some considerable time, and they were being refueled and refueled, but they've been subjected to such relentless pressure from Patrician Brothers Fairfield. It's
like my hot water system at home, John, more cold than hot.
Now Vince Ferraro, the fullback. 26-0, Fairfield leading. They've run in 8 tries, and we have 8 minutes to go before full time. This is the Commonwealth Bank Cup match, their 3rd round, with that most magnificent trophy to be won on Cup final night, August 20.
You'll notice, John, that there's only 8 penalties being given so far in this game. There are 4 each in the penalties.
I'll get back to that in a moment, Peter, because the Fairfield supporters went up in the air because it was Glenn Roach who has been a substitution. Have a look at them. Yeah. And he put that one over. And I might mention side-booted it over. So they lead by 28 points to 0.
I was saying, John, there's been only 8 penalties. There's 4 each during the entire game. And what a great exhibition of, you know, sticking to the rules, playing within the rules, and making it a marvellous spectacle by following those rules.
Well, we've always said they stick to the fundamentals of rugby league, and this is why the Commonwealth Bank Cup matches are so immaculate to watch. Almost faultless football, which is great credit to Graham Steele, the coach of Airds High, and Kevin Burke of Fairfield. Garner over the top as he's opposite Shane Kendall, and ready to take us as standing at dummy half. Lamerton through the arms of Graham Mumford. Look who's there, Picken with the dummy. He runs as fast as the back, this big prop.
He does, beautifully. Must have been watching Rod Morris last night.
And the beautiful part about it is that in the early part of the match, he was sucking in 2 and 3, and he'd go up and play that ball. The holes were there.
That's right.
And his other prop, Osborne, was doing exactly the same. So we'll scrum it on down midway between the quarter and halfway with about 5.5 minutes to go.
Not very long to go, John, and so we were saying about playing within the rules. We often hear these days people saying that you know, we should change this and change that, but it's a really fine exhibition of football, and when you see these young boys who are going to be the stars of the future, as we mentioned earlier, playing so well and not doing anything silly, playing it safe with a great lot of flair and confidence, it must you know, make people that are supporting rugby league very, very satisfied.
The game can only go from strength to strength, Peter, with stuff like this and players like these.
Oh, look at this guy.
Langmark. He really found freedom that time. Found a hole and shredded them. Out wide now, Ferrari up there, causing them a lot of trouble when he chimes in too, because he's got twinkle feet. Lamerton, Mumford, Garner. out of one very, very tired defence now, which you can appreciate because Fairfield have had so much possession and they've been subjected to so much attack, wave after wave. Here's Stanley. Oh! He went him and wound him over his hip and really backslammed him.
Beautiful timing, wasn't it?
Wasn't it ever? Lamerton through Garner now. Over out wide, Roberts, a little step back in again. In the second row, he'll go in again, very short. Dropped a couple of metres short. But what pace for a forward. Out wide again, there's a loop one ballooned on over. He takes it well though, bouncing and then coming back up into his knees. The idea was right of that balloon pass, but you saw exactly what happened.
For Airds High, John, number 15, Peter Doidge is on.
The commentators, Blazers in the Tooth Cup and in the Commercial Bank Cup, the excuse me, the Commonwealth Bank Cup, are outfitted by Evercraft Clothing, as will be the 1980 Commonwealth Bank Cup champions, and it all comes from Evercraft. And Fairfield with Garner getting the ball now, looking for Stanley. An unselfish player is this Garner, and Stanley coming in and showing his wares. Showed us a lovely clean pair of studs, and he brought it right in the jaws of the goal mouth. And here's Langmark weeping a big one. Boomer pass to Lamerton. On the outside is Garner. Ever alert. Coming back now through Langmark. Out again to Stanley. Lovely pass. Ferrari. Speed will take him over. Lovely. He's a danger man. And he played it with a great amount of spirit and pride tonight, this Ferrara. He's gone over for another try. Peter Corcoran.
It's only a matter of time, wasn't it, John? They've been throwing that ball around with tremendously go in, and it's been a delight to watch. Look at this lovely long passes, and look how beautifully it was placed. About a foot in front of his chest, and he came onto it beautifully. Through that line and back in towards that post to get a better shot for the goal.
Bridge went through and put it on down. Lovely football. We have ambulance man, the always affectionately known as the Zambak, gone on there with his assistant, and it looks like we have a stretcher out there, and we have an Airds High boy to be assisted on same and will be taken from the field, which is just rotten luck. And we also have a Patrician Brothers Fairfield boy leaving the field, being assisted. And this young man who's given his all tonight for Aird High, and for you, the TV viewers at home, there is a shot of the Fairfield boy, whom I think is Roberts. I can't pick the Airds High boy, but I can tell you what, he leaves the field with a tremendous showing of appreciation from a good crowd here tonight for his outstanding play, and we hope that the injury is not serious, and he's just being taken off, I think, with a great amount of precaution. That's about it, Peter.
I think so, John. I didn't see anything happen there, really. I think that perhaps what might have happened is that he's gone in for that tackle and he's slipped. And he's perhaps gone back and hit his head, and he might be suffering from a bit of concussion.
Yes,
there didn't seem to be anything visibly, wrong in the way they were handling him. If he was very seriously hurt, they would have handled him much more gently.
Yes, I just didn't see the great looks of concern there. There was looks of let's make this boy comfortable, and with only a couple of minutes left for play, let's take the precautionary measure. So Fairfield with it. Evercraft, the specialists in blazers or tracksuits for school clubs and TV commentators, and Ronnie Coote will look after you whether you're from a club or a school. Fairfield is still gluttonous for points just inside Ed's portion of halfway as they sling this ball again, getting it to Garner. Garner knowing he had a boomer pass, but there were three in between before getting it to Stanley. Takes the tackle, and Fairfield Patrician Brothers have run out victorious here tonight in their bid to win the Commonwealth Bank Cup by defeating Airds High by 33 points to 0. Word that I'm delighted to be able to tell you, the young boy that came off from Airds High has only a sprained ankle, so that's good relieving news. But on top of that, let me say that Patrician Brothers Fairfield winning and defeating Airds High tonight 33 points to 0 was just a magnificent exhibition of rugby league, surging through almost now to the group finals. And Peter Corcoran, the Australian Director of Coaching, you'd have nothing but just stand back, as I said before, and admire their exhibition.
Tremendous exhibition, John. If I could say one thing to Patrician Brothers Fairfield, and that is that when they do get a thing like this going, not to commit themselves so much in attack. They did tend towards the latter part of the game to get into a straight line, and that commits the ball, commits the line of attack, and obviously then the defenders can, you know, actually counterman that thing much more easily.
Well, Peter Corcoran, Australian Director of Coaching, it's been beaut having you along here tonight. It's been so enlightening. I'd love for you to come back again. Would you do that, mate?
Be my pleasure, John.
All right, certainly through the group finals and your clinic fixtures during the holidays with Buttercup, of course, the Daily Mirror and Channel 10, and, of course, the never-tiring efforts of Peter Corcoran. It's been a magnificent thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Next Wednesday night, we're back with you, or should I say Thursday morning at 7 a.m. and Saturday mornings at 8:30 on the 10 Network with a great match. Christian Brothers Manly and Kingsgrove High. Until, on behalf of Ray O'Donnell, our statistician, Peter Corcoran, Australian Director of Coaching, I'm John Brennan, and together we've been here for the Commonwealth Bank. Good night to you.
There's an hour of fun for our young viewers next with the Electric Company, followed by today's doings with Fat Cat and Friends.